Well, wildly shocking weekend in college football, and Mississippi State making a bowl is just the start. We're diving into all the chaos next.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jaron Spor. Welcome to Locked On Mississippi State, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Like I said, I'm Jaron Spor. I'm a national college football writer at Athlon Sports. That's Landon, McBride. We've got a crazy show for you today. Friday, we said no more full football shows, but
we lied.
We lied. It is not true at all, because we're going to do a football show today, and
maybe
in a little bit we're going to have a whole week of a football type of show. But yeah, so some big news over the weekend, because it was, again, a crazy weekend. But Mississippi State fires defensive coordinator Coleman Hutzler and replaces him with Zach Arnett, familiar foe. And then obviously we'll give our top dog of the week in the final segment. So I guess that one's not necessarily football, although it can be, depending on what route we go. But if we don't go a football route, maybe that's one that we don't have a football. But the big surprise was Mississippi State is going bowling despite being 5-7 this season. And that was due to a lot of opt-outs. One that didn't affect them, but Notre Dame opted out. That was a big one. They got snubbed from the playoff, or at least felt like they were snubbed from the playoff. And they decided to opt out of the bowl game. Kansas State and Iowa State both decided to opt out of their bowl games. I'm assuming it's because of coaching.
Yeah, I would think
because
so.
Both of them lose their coaches, although Kansas State will still have its whole staff because their coach didn't leave to go somewhere else and take the staff with them, whereas Iowa State, I think, was taking most of their staff. So they both got fined by the Big 12. Notre Dame's not in the conference, so they're not getting fined. But that opened the spot for Mississippi State. And, as we're recording this podcast, it has not been announced who Mississippi State's opponent will be, but they're playing in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Obviously, when this thing comes out tomorrow, you'll probably know the opponent at that point, and so we'll be able to dive into them a little more on Tuesday's episode, who the opponent is. But yeah, they're going 27th time they've gone to a bowl game. They'll play in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. That will be on January 2nd at 7 p.m. Central Time. This is just massive because, like we've said, heading into that Ole Miss game, was if you could clinch a bowl berth, then you get those extra practice reps. Kamario Taylor gets an extra game of playing, like all these positive things. And then you lost, and it felt like, okay, well, you're not going to get any of that. And lo and behold, you do.
Yeah, it's really the practice thing that's important. Obviously, getting to see some of these guys, getting to see the team again is always fun. And even though bowl games don't mean what they did, that, you still want to win and they're still fun to watch, but it's really the practices and getting some of these young guys more reps. Hopefully they use it to find maybe some clarity on the offensive line going into next year, because there are a bunch of young guys on this roster. That would be great if they could use it because those guys are going to need reps. They're going to need practice reps, game reps, everything. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with the defense. Like as we'll get into more, Zach Arnett's back. What's that offense? What's he going to do with the defense in the, pretty much month between now and the game? And how much is he going to
even calling the defense?
What's going to go on?
I don't know.
What's going on with all of that? So there's a lot of interesting things happening, but it's good that this team is going to get those reps, especially Kamario Taylor. I mean, it's great for him.
Yeah. I have not seen or experienced as shocking of a weekend as that just took place. And again, we're going to talk about more of it in the next segment, because that was obviously a big part of it, but also getting the 5-7 and going bowling. I mean, I think it was, so Mississippi State ranked in the top 5, and I can't remember if it's ABR or however it is. Anyways, that's how they ended up making the bowl. They were top 5 in it. And apparently, I guess what you do is once a team drops, you start going down the list of which teams to kind of fill this bowl. I'm assuming you still have to line it up with conferences, I would assume. I don't know. In this case, it wasn't, because they're replacing one of the Big 12 teams. So that wasn't the case. But nonetheless, Auburn was another SEC team on there, but there were some people that didn't think Auburn would take it, and I don't think they ever said who took it and who or who decided not to take it. I mean, Obviously, we know who took it because Mississippi State's one of them that took it. But it was just a crazy weekend. And again, this is another reason why the season is a success. Weirdly enough, is because you are making a bowl game, you are returning to bowl eligibility. And I know there's things that had to go your way for you to get there. I get that, but you're not going to complain when you get these extra practices and you get this extra game to play. And if you can go out with a win and get to 6-7, I mean, that's a incredible season.
Yeah, looks like you still get to that 6 win. And yeah, I know some people are going to be like, oh, they didn't actually qualify for bowl games, blah, blah, blah. I mean, sure, if you want to get technical, they didn't hit the 6 wins, but we're seeing it more and more. It seems almost every year that a 5-7 team gets into a bowl game now because of the way the portal works and how so many coaching changes. But, you get in there and it works out. This is what this team needed. This is what a lot of people saw as, a successful year, go to a bowl game. Now it's kind of maybe you only give half a point for it, some people, because it didn't come the 6 wins, but you still got there. It's still successful. It's very important for the staff and for these younger players, but there's still so many questions about how this team is going to function over the next month with at least on the defensive side.
Right. And this is what I will say to those that are like, oh, you didn't actually make it. Who cares? 5 years from now, Mississippi State fans are going to be the only ones who remember that they made it when they went 5-7 during the regular season. They're the only ones that are going to remember that. People that just are like writing stories about bowl eligibility or whatever that 5 years now, they're going to write that they made the bowl game this year. They're not going to remember, oh, they didn't make it initially, but some teams dropped out, and so then they made it. Like, you made it. And regardless of how you made it, you're still getting the extra practice. It's not like, well, you went 5-7, so you weren't going to make it, so we can't give you the practices, but you do get to play in the game, but you can't practice. Like, no, you get everything a bowl team gets still.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing different about it other than that. I mean, obviously you had some luck and some teams dropping out. Which again, the Kansas State one, I never saw if they released why, because now I think about it more. That's kind of a weird one. Yeah, they wouldn't have the head coach, but hey, maybe even who's to say he didn't coach the game, because he was just retiring. It's not like he was leaving for another job. What if he wanted to coach one more game? But it also might have been one of those things. Did they win their last game? I can't remember. Did they win? If they won their last game, it might have been one of those things where it's like, hey, we want to send him off on a high note kind of thing. They won the final game. But if they didn't win their last game, it's even more confusing why he didn't coach that. They did. They beat Colorado 24-14. So maybe that's it. And it was at home, and so it was like, hey, his last game's at home. You won. Like, we want to send him out like that, and that's possible. But I don't know. It was a weird day. I will say this, and I texted some friends about this. I think tomorrow's going to be remembered in a few years very similar to like when, I believe it was Christian McCaffrey, who was like one of the first players to opt out of a bowl game. And after that, it started becoming more and more. And now it's just like a normal thing. I think you're going to see that start happening. And I think you're going to see it to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if some of these bowls start going away, which they really, they don't matter in terms of only people are going to remember is who won the national championship. They're not going to remember who won the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Like, no disrespect, but that's just reality. They do matter in terms of the experience of playing in practices and then playing in a game.
Yes.
But it's just basically a glorified scrimmage for next year's team. Like, I don't take any stock in who wins the game. I couldn't care less who wins the bowl games. I really don't. I just want the experience of playing in it. That's why it's good to get there, so you can have the experience of playing in it. And a lot of cases, the guys that opt out aren't going to be on the team next year. So in a lot of cases, it's the team you're going to have next year, minus, obviously you don't have your high school guys yet, and you don't have whoever you had in the transfer portal. But for the most part, that's the team you're going to have. Like, Kamario getting a second start is massive.
Yep. Yeah, it's so big, and yeah, you hit it. It's the important thing of like reaching that milestone and getting those extra reps. It's just really, it's a fun way to end it, even if we kind of backdoored our way into a bowl game. And yeah, when we talked about it all season, this team was playing so many people so close, and people were like, oh, their losses, they don't matter. Well, it ended up that it kind of mattered. Like, if you got blown out in all of those games, you're not finishing that high on that rankings list to be able to get into this, at least as far as I understand how that weird ranking works, which is not something I'm super familiar with, but I would say if you go 5-7 and get blown out in every game, you're not ranking 5th or whatever it was on there.
I want to say it's off of academics. Like,
Maybe.
it's weird. I think it's something like academics.
There is an academic component.
Right.
But
I don't know all the stuff. And that's why I can't ever compute on who's the teams that would get up next.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know Mississippi State would be one of the ones considered until I saw someone tweet it. Like, I had no idea how to figure that stuff out.
Yeah, and I would think you're not sending someone who's getting blown out in every game to a bowl game. That's just my thought. I mean, again, I might be wrong. I don't know. I'm not plugged into how the NCAA thinks. I don't know that anyone is, but yeah, it ended up working out. Even if it is a backdoor in, hey, you take the benefits and you don't apologize for it.
Yeah, right. For sure. All right, but that was only the beginning of a crazy weekend. We got to talk about Zach Arnett returning to the sidelines, this time not as the head coach. We'll talk about that coming up next. Well, the World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994, and with 48 teams for the first time ever. It's going to be massive, but let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the Game Time app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. You pull up the app and the layout makes it so simple to scroll through matchups and compare seat views. Pick a game, tap a section, and have your tickets locked in within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for fine print. The seat view feature is a game changer. Talk about that a lot. You literally see what the pitch looks like from your exact seat before you buy. So take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets in every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKDOWNCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKDOWNCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go, Game Time. And real quick, we want to tell you about our Everydayer Club. Thank you so much for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen today. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Mississippi State with no interruptions, members only, Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedonmississippistate.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. Thank you again. You get all access. And so thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen today. Thank you for making it the #1 sports podcast network. If you are a diehard fan of Mississippi State, the Everydayer all access tier is built for you. You'll get one-on-one text access with me, all access episodes, an exclusive newsletter, and a 15% discount to the Locked On merch store. So again, head to lockedonmississippistate.supercast.com to join the Everydayer program and unlock all access. You can also find the link in the show notes. So you will get access to, like I said, one-on-one messages with Landon and I, hopefully. We're still working out the details on that. But that's kind of the plan of it. And so hopefully you guys can join that and become part of that. But let's dive into the Zach Arnett news, because that was a surpriser to wake up to on Saturday. Yeah, I wake up, first news, Coleman Hutzler is let go. Okay, not a big surprise seeing how the season ended. We talked about last week. If he's just gung-ho on how he wants to run his defense, then it's probably best to move on. Mm-hmm. The big surprise was Zach Arnett was coming to replace him. Not because he's not qualified. Zach Arnett, when he was at Mississippi State, had a top 5 defense in the SEC every year he was there. So he's a very good defense coordinator. He knows what he's doing. But it was just kind of a weird situation how he left. He obviously came in and coached that bowl game after Mike Leach passed away. He won that bowl game, and it kind of, everyone just was like, just make him the head coach. We like it just felt like everyone was rallying around him kind of thing. So he becomes the head coach. They go through the season, and also just want to point out, this was also the first year of Zach Selman as the athletic director. He goes 4-6, gets fired, 10 games into the season in 2023. They end up going 5-7 on the year. Jeff Lebby obviously gets brought in to replace him. And so the guy that fires you, you're now working for again, this time as the defensive coordinator, Yeah, I mean, what was your thoughts when you saw the news? I mean, it's just crazy.
Man, the first thing was I literally just got out of bed and you text me. It was like, what world did we just wake up in? And I'm just sitting there like, I have a cup of dog food in my hand. And I'm just like, what's going on? And my dog was not happy with me because I started looking before I fed her. But no, I mean, when you look at it just from a hiring perspective, like just who Zach Arnett is as a coach, this is a win. This is a good hire. Now you factor in how weird it is that this guy was recently the head coach. Yeah. This is not someone who was a head coach 15 years ago here and has now gone on this all, journey, done all this other stuff and decided to come back. This is just a couple of years ago. He was the head coach of Mississippi State. And it's just weird. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I think this is a good hire, like schematically and defensively. Yeah. And all that. This is just a weird situation.
And I don't want to be hypocritical because Zach Arnett, if you know him, he runs a 3-3-5 defense. That's what he runs. And the reason why I said I don't want to be hypocritical is because I've already discussed why I don't like the 3-man front defense in the SEC. With that being said, he had success with it. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no arguing that. They had a top 5 defense in the conference every year he was there. He had success. Yeah. A big reason for it, though, in my opinion, was Coleman Hutzler, for example, ran a lot of odd fronts. Sometimes he ran a 2-man front. But they got no pressure because they didn't really bring a lot of pressure. Mm-hmm. Every now and then they would, but it was more of, hey, we'll just use our defense linemen and we're going to drop back and cover the pass. Zach Arnett is totally different. He runs a 3-man front and he's going to blitz the heck out of you. That's just what he does. And so if you have a 3-man front and you do that and you blitz a lot, it can make up for the deficiencies of the defense.
Yeah.
Again, I don't love it still, so I don't want to be a hypocrite and be like, oh, because Zach's here, we love it. No, I don't want to be a hypocrite. With all of that being said, and I know there were some issues with him that people have had, some fans had. One person messaged just over the weekend and goes, can y'all please make a video on why the heck we hired Zach Arnett? So there was a lot of people that aren't on board.
Yeah.
The reason why you hired him is he knows the area, he knows the school, and he can coach defense.
Yeah.
I mean, plain and simple. That's why you hired him.
Yeah, and you talk about was it in all years he was a defense coordinator, they were inside the top 65 nationally in scoring defense. And then the year he was head coach, they were 68 in scoring defense. So, and that's a huge jump up. I mean, we're talking about the Hutzler defenses are one was 118th and the other one is this year was 95th. So even if you get Zach Arnett's worst defense, you're jumping 30 spots in the rankings pretty much, which is a huge jump. And yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the 3-3-5 with how we've seen this move, but it depends on how you deploy it too. If one of those the 3 linebackers is essentially a defensive end that just kind of stands up, then sure. I mean, you're a 3-3-5 in name only.
Right.
But it'll be interesting to see what he has changed since his time, because sometimes guys go on little journeys. Because I mean, he hasn't done too much. He was an analyst at Ole Miss, and then was going to go join Mullen's staff, and then didn't for personal reasons. But maybe he came up with maybe has a new take on some defense. But on the surface, very good, solid hire. It's just kind of weird, and another thing, you wonder how much these defensive recruits that we just signed, how much did they know about this? Was this an open secret? Because about some of these high-ranking defensive guys, did they know they were going to be coached by Arnett, or were they committing to Hutzler?
I'd be shocked if Womack didn't know.
Yeah, that's the big one. That's the one that
I feel like you have to let those know. And I will say this, and we mentioned this before, he committed because of Lebby. It wasn't like he committed because of Hutzler. So that also helps. But I had something I want to read to you because I saw this post this weekend, and I can't remember who it was. It might even been the On 3 guys that kind of responded to it. But someone said, you make the fire for Hutzler, but the offense isn't anywhere close to what it was our last good season. That's what they post. Mm-hmm. Well, that would have been the 2022 season with Mike Leach. They went 9-4, obviously, that year. Yeah. So they averaged 392.9 yards per game that year and averaged 31.6 points per game. Mm-hmm. Do you know what they averaged this year?
Are you guys points or yards?
We'll go yards first. So the 392.9 was the yards that year.
I would say probably like 350.
398.4.
Oh, never mind.
And the points
had to be lower.
The points was 31.6, and the points this year was 30.5.
Yeah.
It's almost the same offense. The defense just took such a dip. And again, the defense was doing some really positive things earlier in the year, and numbers can be misleading, and that's why I look at efficiency more. So there's more into that. But that's just a crazy stat if you look at it on the broad scale. But the hope is that Zach Arnett's defensive scheme and knowing the area, knowing what to do, is going to now boost and lead to more wins. I mean, that's why you make the move, and we'll see if it pans out.
Yeah.
Hey, and I will say it's kind of a weird trend because did y'all see Brent Pry, who was Virginia Tech's coach, fired this year, is now the defensive coordinator at Virginia Tech under James Franklin. They said it was like the first time it's ever happened.
I'm sure it is, because that's very strange.
Very strange. Very strange. But first off, props to him, because that's got to be at least a somewhat of an ego hit, because now you're going to go into this locker room where these guys were looking at you as your head coach, and now you're not the head guy. So they might, out of habit, they might come to you for some stuff, and you got to go to Franklin on that one. But, all right, coming up next, we will reveal our top dog of the week. Don't go anywhere.
The holidays come with two big goals: feeding people well and finding gifts they'll actually love. And when you want both handled in one move, Omaha Steaks is the way to go. From hosting to gifting, they deliver the world's best steak experience right to your door. And during their Sizzle All the Way sale, you can stock up and save in a huge way. 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. And it gets even better. Locked On College listeners get an extra $35 off with code COLLEGE at checkout. They're so easy to gift. It shows up frozen, great packaging, and just ready to cook. Steaks are aged perfectly, and they are so tender. It's almost like restaurant level at home, and so many options: fillets, burgers, those comfort meals, sides, desserts. I mean, you can build a box for everyone. So save big on gourmet gifts and more holiday favorites with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Sizzle All the Way sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code COLLEGE at checkout. Terms apply. See the site for details. That's omahasteaks.com, code COLLEGE.
All right, well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Landon, who's your top dog of the week?
Well, I'm going to go with Jeff Lebby, because he ended up getting that bowl game, which he has said multiple times was a goal for this year. And then before he gets to that bowl game, he goes and makes a big move that should improve his defense. So it's a good weekend for him, and hopefully he keeps it going. But yeah, I'm going to go with Lebby. It's kind of a weird weekend, so I figured just keep riding the weird weekend.
Yeah, that's a good one. So you made it a full football show. Well, I'm going to change it because I have a good one too. When we did our last podcast, we were recording it Thursday night, and it was in the middle of the Mississippi State Pitt game, women's basketball. And so we were like, this could be a big statement win. And boy, was it. They won 79-44, just dominated the game. They jumped out to a 42-14 halftime lead. I wanted to give two people kind of the top dog of the week, because I felt like they both were so outstanding in that game that it was hard to pick between the two. But Destiny McFall and Favor Wadozie, I believe is how you pronounce her last name, they combined for 36 points in the game. McFall shot 8 of 13 and Favor shot 7 of 10. So they're both outstanding from the field. I mean, that's over that 70% on the other one would have been, let's see, just under 70. Maybe, or around 70%. So yeah, I mean, they had outstanding games, and Favor had 7 rebounds. Destiny had 4. But yeah, they played a big role in them and leading them to the pretty good victory. Again, and Pitt's not this great team. They're 6-5 on the year, but it's still a really good win. And those two are having great seasons. McFall leads the team with 12.8 points per game, 3 rebounds, 2.9 assists, and then Favor leads the team with our third on the team in scoring, but leads the team in rebounds. She averages 11.7 points and 9.3 rebounds this season. That's juniors and seniors for both of them. And so they're veteran leadership that are doing really well this season.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it was a huge win for the team. I mean, both in terms of the win itself and then the point spread was huge. Yeah, this team's looking better and better. 8-1, hard to argue with that start.
Yeah. And, they played late last night, and so we're actually recording this before they ended up wrapping up that game. So they could be 9-1 by the time this is out, which they should be. They should definitely be winning that game. But all right, well, thanks for tuning in today to Locked On Mississippi State. Come back tomorrow. We're going to talk about the bowl matchup. We'll also recap the conference championship games, and we're going to dive into some college football playoffs because the bracket was revealed, and there were some interesting things that happened that might impact Mississippi State. We'll talk about that. So make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Mississippi State so you get all the latest episodes. Did Locked On Mississippi State make your Spotify Wrapped? Prove it on social media to secure a free month of our brand new Everydayer Club. Just tag our national Locked On Podcast Network account on any social platform, and we'll drop you a code. Be one of the first to join the Everydayer Club to get your favorite show ad-free and exclusive access to the members-only Discord channel. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your number 2 listen Locked On College Football. So check all that out. And follow us on the social media. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We post daily videos Monday through Friday. So check that out. Check out my work over at Athlon Sports. And until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.